On today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, Ewan McGregor is saying there are no plans for an Obi-Wan Season 2, but he would really like to do one. In sad news, Gen V star Chance Perdomo has died in a motorcycle accident. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Also, Civil War and Ex Machina director Alex Garland, one of the most exciting directors today, is suggesting he might be done with directing and might retire. And Godzilla X Kong completely obliterated the box office projections for it. We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show podcast starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming to you from right here in our quaint little studio, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. Not just giving you our opinions, but also giving you some information and context so you guys can form your own well-informed opinions, whether they're the same or even different than ours. Joining me in studio today, got Ray Ora.
Happy Monday.
Joining us over here, we got Jonathan Voico.
Good morning, everybody.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett is here.
Good morning, John.
And most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making the show part of your day, and here's how it's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about those topics that I listed off. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you guys have a thought, theory, opinion, question, observation that you'd like us to address, go ahead and use the super chat feature in the live chat and fire that in. And as long as it's appropriate for us to address on the show, we will address it here on the show. I also just want to remind you guys that we primarily do this show as a podcast, and you can't always have a YouTube channel on in front of you, but if you need your daily fix of the John Campea Show, make sure you go onto your favorite podcasting app of choice and just search for the John Campea Show podcast. Look at all those stars on those ratings lists. Make sure you subscribe to it today, so even if you don't listen to it today or tomorrow, it'll be there when you need it. All right, guys, with that down, let's get things started here, shall we? We're going to start off with this. You know, in the midst of some pretty good things that Star Wars has put out in the last bunch of years, there's also been some pretty disappointing things. And even though different people have different opinions on this, one of the disappointing things to me was the Obi-Wan series. It started off, I thought, very well. I really liked the first episode, and then it kind of went to crap. For me. And it had its highlights. Like the Obi-Wan Vader fight at the end blew my mind. I loved it. I mean, there's certain things about it that I liked, but overall I was pretty disappointed with it. And there has been no word about another season. As a matter of fact, they even listed Obi-Wan as a limited season as opposed to season 1 sort of thing. Well, there's still been a lot of talk about whether or not they could do another season. But now Obi-Wan star himself, Ewan McGregor, is saying, as far as he knows right now, there's no plans for another one, even though he would love to do it. This comes to us from the folks at Deadline who wrote the following. I don't know. There's been no phone call to me from Lucasfilm or Disney saying, let's do another one. Obi-Wan was made as a limited series, and it's out, and people like it. Well, that's debatable, and people like it, which I'm very, very pleased about. McGregor said he loved doing the series and said, I hope we get a chance to do another one, and I'm sure we will. I'm pretty sure, I've got a few years yet before I'm the same age as Alec Guinness was in A New Hope, so there's still time to tell more stories in there. Now, look, let me be clear. Even though I ended up kind of disappointed with the Obi-Wan series, I still think Ewan McGregor is an awesome Obi-Wan. I feel weird about saying this. When I now think about Obi-Wan, it isn't Alec Guinness who pops into my head. It's actually Ewan McGregor. Not saying Ewan McGregor is better than Alec Guinness. I'm just saying that's kind of now the imprint on me when I think about the character. And, again, I always bring this up when Obi-Wan comes up, but there was that guy online whose name I forget, but took the Obi-Wan series and said, this is a mess. And he re-edited it, moving some things around, taking a bunch of stuff out, and made it into a 2 hour and 45-minute movie. And it was wildly better, wildly better the way he did that. And really Obi-Wan should have been done as a movie. Rob, I don't think they're actually going to do an Obi-Wan season 2. I think now they're going to have their eyes on new projects, new eras, things like that. So look, is it impossible they could do another one? Absolutely not. even though I was disappointed, there were still a bunch of people who liked Obi-Wan season 1, and maybe they'll make a second one to appease them. And if they do, I'll be more than happy to check it out, but I don't think they will. What did you think about Ewan McGregor's comments saying they haven't told him anything about it, but that he'd like to do it? Will they do another one? What do you think?
Well, John, I think that the funny thing, the problem that I really had with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is they had to bring all these other Star Wars characters into it. There's an Obi-Wan Kenobi novel that's great. And it tells a really interesting, really unique story that's set apart from the Skywalker saga. And I think one of the problems that Star Wars faces moving forward is not everything has to show us. I mean, Kenobi is not necessarily connected. You could tell a great story about a person in Ben Kenobi's situation that could be all new. There's no reason you have to tie it. Why hamstring it by tying it to other Star Wars stuff? It's a big universe. And I think, as you pointed out, I too think of Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. He grows into Alec Guinness, but he's been in a lot more movies now, and a lot more screen time has been given to his version, which I think everybody unanimously loves. He's a great Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I would love to see another Kenobi series. I don't want to see anybody we've seen before. Tell me a brand new story about something that he has to deal with. I mean, if anything, maybe he has to go consult Yoda, on Dagobah or something. But give us a story that focuses on who and what Ben Kenobi is, what he's all about, and you don't have to give us Vader. You don't have to give us the Empire even. Give us something else. If he goes on a spiritual quest or has to help somebody else, it doesn't even have to be a Padawan or a Jedi. Something, like he's now like the man with no name. He's like a gunfighter coming into town to save the town from the evil. Make a Western. Give us Unforgiven. Give us Shane. Give us High Noon even. Something that isn't Star Wars. I'm stoked. I hope they do it. I know they haven't said they are. But if anybody could handle making another Star Wars project that people would love, it's Ewan McGregor.
I remember thinking when they announced the show, I thought that's what they were going to do.
I did too.
I thought it was going to be while living on Tatooine and overseeing, young thing. A message from an old friend comes through and he has to go off planet to go and, so it becomes your traditional Western man with a gun in town sort of thing. He has to go off and try to save it. I thought it would be something like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I thought the young Leia, adorable.
Sure.
Like she was sweeter than a spoonful of sugar. I mean, she was adorable. I loved the final fight with Vader. I thought it was great to finally see the true power of Obi-Wan Kenobi, General Kenobi, unleashed. I thought that was really good, but I think you're 100% on the money. I think they would have served themselves better and Obi-Wan better had they just given him an isolated story.
Yeah.
And made it more, and maybe even just made it a movie instead of drawing it out.
And it's a big universe, man.
Yeah.
And they make it so small. Everything has to interconnect with things we've seen before. Show us something we haven't.
But bottom line though, are we going to get an Obi-Wan season 2?
I think we might.
All right.
I think we might.
Guys, questions for you. What do you think about Ewan McGregor's comments here? He's saying nobody from Lucasfilm has talked to him about doing another season, but he would love to do it. Do you think they should do another one? Do you think they will? Those are two different questions. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to sadder news, shall we? I absolutely love The Boys TV series, and I got really excited when they were announcing Gen V. I didn't know if it was going to be any good or not. And obviously you can see I'm rocking my Godolkin University sweatshirt here today. But then Gen V came out, and of course with one of its stars, Chance Perdomo. And I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. I've read his name a million times. I've very rarely heard it said, so hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. And I fell in love with Gen V. Absolutely loved this show. So it was with incredible shock the other day when I checked my news feed on my phone and found out that he had passed away at the age of 27 in a motorcycle accident. This comes to us from the folks over at Cineblend who write the following. Hollywood unfortunately experienced a truly devastating loss this weekend. Rising star Chance Perdomo died at the age of 27 after being involved in a motorcycle accident which didn't involve any other individuals. Perdomo had earned a few notable credits during his career, but he was arguably best known for his roles on Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is streamable with a Netflix subscription, and the Boys spin-off series Gen V. Since the news was revealed by Perdomo's representatives, fans have taken to social media to express their condolences. You know, there was a really good article, I think it was in Deadline, that was writing about how whenever somebody this young passes away, it's a tragedy, always. What adds to the tragedy, they wrote in this article, was it felt like we were observing the birth of a new star. I mean, he's been around the industry for a bit, right? But it really felt like he was about to really take off in his career. Obviously, he was going to be in future iterations of Gen V and probably in The Boys, but with a couple of like cult-like hit shows in his belt with Sabrina, Gen V, things like that. And listen, when you look at him, this kid had all sorts of upside. All sorts of upside. Great looking kid, great dramatic chops. I loved his performances in this. And you know, it's funny. It was just a few days ago, Ann and I in California, you're allowed to lane surf. I think that's what they're calling. If you ride a motorcycle, you can lane surf. Where I come from, you're not allowed to do that. But if you got your lane and there's a car, there's another lane there's a car. Motorcycles are allowed to like ride the line and go in between. In California, they're allowed to do that. And I remember saying to Ann just a few days ago, I would never do that. Even if I got my motorcycle, I don't think I would ever do that. It seems, and I don't know what the nature of his motorcycle accident was. It might have been something not related to that at all. But I'm reminded of what was the movie with Julianne Moore and Mark Ruffalo, The Kids Are All Right? Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Where one of the characters, I remember one of the characters, Mark Ruffalo's character rides a motorcycle, and one of the moms is a doctor and is like, I absolutely forbid my kids to get on that motorcycle with me. I'm in the emergency room. You know how many mangled bodies I see come in? And I'm a big motorcycle fan. But whenever I hear something like this, man, it breaks my heart. This kid's had such a bright future in front of him. And it's a real loss, not just obviously for family and loved ones, for all of us who got to enjoy and, be blessed with his work, for us as well. So again, a terrible, terrible loss. Rob, how did you hear about this and find out about it? And what are your thoughts?
I read it in the trades. I think, was it Saturday? Is that when it, and I like you. I really love Gen V. And I didn't watch the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, but I thought he was a really, like you said, consummate up-and-coming actor, somebody that I really enjoyed watching on that show. And, I just hate it when anyone's life is snuffed out. No one else was involved. I mean, maybe he hit a patch of ice. Who knows what happened. But what a bummer, for his loved ones and his family and for all of us who enjoyed his work. I mean, it's just really sad when something like this happens because who knows what he would have done.
Yeah,
That's the thing. I always think about that. Whenever a life is cut short, the first thing my mind goes to is what would they have done had they remained
What's
here?
the line, the exact line in Unforgivable when he says, it's a hell of a thing killing a man because you take away everything he's got and everything
he's gonna have
and everything he's going to have. And that saying reminds me of what you just said.
Yeah.
Like it's just, you feel this sadness for all the great things he'll never get to do now.
Right.
And it's really sad.
maybe his descendants will never get to do either.
Yeah.
My introduction to him was Gen V. I never watched The Boys, but I thought he was the best part of Gen V. Like, especially his facial, just seeing it on it. He's one of those actors where if he's in a particular scene and they pan in on their face, you know exactly how they're feeling.
He was very
He's
emotive.
very good
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
Way too many accidents happen on these motorcycles. Let's just prayers to his family, friends, everyone who knew him.
All right, guys. Question is for you. Your feelings on his passing here. Which of his work did you watch most? Did you discover him on Sabrina? Maybe it was Gen V. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments below and leave us your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? One of the most talked about movies of the year is getting ready to come out here soon with Civil War, directed by Alex Garland. Now, it debuted at South by Southwest, and a number of people are saying, hey, that Dune 2 that we already anointed as the best movie of the year? This is the movie that may give that thing a run for its money. This might be the best movie of the year. I have not seen it yet myself, but it's certainly got a lot of people talking. As of right now, it carries a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, and of course is directed by Alex Garland. did movies like Ex Machina, and is truly like one of the most exciting filmmakers in the industry today. He also made Men a couple of years ago. I didn't like Men myself, but it was a bold movie. And he was trying to do some really cool things, which he does in all of his films.
And his show Devs.
Oh, yeah, which people love Devs.
I really like
so
Devs,
good on that.
too.
Also worked with Nick Offerman in that. Well, this, one of the most exciting directors in the business today, is saying he might be done. He might actually hang it up after he's done with Civil War. And it's not the first. He kind of hinted at this before, but now he's doubling down on it. This comes to us from the folks over at IndieWire who are writing the following. In a new interview, the filmmaker, Alex Garland, reiterated previous claims that he might retire from filmmaking and said he has no plans to direct another film after Civil War. Nothing's changed, he said when asked about previous claims that he was open to retiring from filmmaking. I'm in a very similar state. I'm not planning to direct again in the foreseeable future. I do actually love film, but filmmaking doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in a life and also in a broader context. I'm not exactly sure what Alex meant by that last part, but this is an interesting. Now, normally when a filmmaker, actor, singer, whatever says, I'm retiring. Okay, Jay-Z, five albums later. Okay, like I don't believe when Quentin Tarantino says he's going to retire. Like I believe he thinks that, but Quentin Tarantino is just too much of a creative engine. I mean, I just think in 3 or 4 years after he retires, he's going to get an idea and it's going to bug him and it's going to bug him and he'll stay awake at night and finally say, you know what, I got to do another one. But Alex Garland, there's something about him, and I can't put my finger on it, Rob, that makes me actually believe him. Like he seems like an incredibly intellectual, introspective individual. And for him to come out and say, I don't think he comes out and says, yeah, I don't plan on doing any more directing after Civil War. I don't think he says that off the cuff. I don't think he says that in a moment. I think it's something that he's really thought about a lot. And maybe he's looking at Civil War and going, you know what? If other people are right, because I haven't seen the movie yet, but if other people are right and saying this could be the best film of the year, maybe he's looking at Civil War and saying, I don't know that I can top this. Maybe that's good enough for me. Anyway, Rob, we see a lot of people say they're going to retire, whether they're athletes, whatever, all the time. They always come back. Not always, but oftentimes come back. What do you think about Alex Garland, his career, and what do you think about this claim of him saying, I don't think I'm going to direct another film after Civil War? What do you think?
Well, you know, he was a novelist first. He wrote the novel that The Beach, the movie that Danny Boyle made with Leonardo DiCaprio, was based on. So I think, you know, I've read a couple of other interviews where he was addressing this, and he said, you know, there's interference that happens. There's other people that you have to appease. And I think someone like him, who's a consummate storyteller on many different levels, just gets tired of being second guessed all the time. And it's like, look, you know, Men didn't cost a lot. It might not have been a box office success, but it wasn't. No one took a bath on it. So I think he wants to maintain his autonomy, and he'll probably go back to writing. He might be writing the third 28 Days Later movie, and I'm sure he's going to stay working in film. I just think that directing becomes something that there's so many other things that you have to deal with that isn't storytelling.
Right.
And I think that's the kind of thing that he might have become frustrated with. And you can see the questions that he's getting about that are surrounding this movie too. Well, how come California and Texas teamed up? And he's like, look, it's implicit in the film. If you watch the movie, it's there. But he keeps getting that question, and he keeps answering it and says, I think all the questions you might have are in the movie, you know, and at some point you just got to be like, do I need this aggravation anymore? But hopefully the movie will come out and make a lot of money. Maybe it'll be a zeitgeist film. I can't wait to see it. You know, I have to say, watching Kirsten Dunst on, I've always admired who she works with, like doing movies like Melancholia, but watching her on talk shows promoting this, she's a really smart woman, and she has a lot of really interesting things to say, and I've loved her since Interview with the Vampire. I can't wait to see her performance.
What's the name of the film again that she did with Coppola? Francis's daughter?
Marie Antoinette?
Yeah, well, she did.
But was there another one where they
Virgin
like,
Suicides, right?
That might have been it. The one where they broke in and they were breaking the houses or something.
Oh, that's the Bling Ring.
The Bling Ring. That's what I was thinking of. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Like Alex Garland, I'll triple down on one of the most exciting filmmakers out there right now, saying he might be done after what some people are calling maybe the best film of the year. Do you buy into that? Do you think, yeah, he'll produce, he'll write, and he doesn't have to deal with a lot of the other nonsense? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to this, shall we? Apparently, this is Godzilla and King Kong's world, and we just live in it. Because leading into its opening weekend this past weekend, the official box office projections for it were high, 50 to 55 million, which would have made it the fourth film in March to open to 45 million or higher. It would have been the biggest opening for the Monsterverse in the last couple of films that they did. It would have been a pure success for them if it did open to that 50 to 55 million. Ray, Aura, the Oracle, called 65 million, maybe higher. Asked me, I said, no, I think it'll come in around the 50 to 55. I mean, I won't be shocked if it gets 65, 70, but I'm going to say 50 to 55. Forget all that. Forget all that. Godzilla +1, according to NBang there. Godzilla X Kong, with a projected opening weekend box office of 50 to 55 million, absolutely annihilated the box office projections with an $80 million opening. Projected 50 to 55, actually opened to $80 million. And by the way, that $80 million is the Sunday projected. The actuals, the actuals usually come in very, very, very close to the Sunday projections, but the actuals will come out a little bit later today. Maybe even might be $1 million or $2 higher, maybe $1 million or $2 lower, but $80 million is what they're calling right now. Now, to put that in context, that would make Godzilla X Kong the number 2 opening weekend of the year so far. And by the way, we're already a quarter of the way through 2024. Time is flying. If we go look at this chart here, so Kung Fu Panda right now is the 3rd biggest opening of the year at $57.9 million. Godzilla X Kong as the number 2 biggest opening weekend of the year at $80 million, just coming $2.5 million behind what I think is the best film of the last 10 years or so, Dune Part 2, with an $82.5 million. Now look, to kind of recap, Godzilla X Kong is a very stupid movie. It is. It's a very stupid movie. And that's why when you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it has like a 59%. I get it. I totally get it. There is some can't suspend my disbelief for that. That line of dialogue was stupid. Why on earth are these people doing that? There was a lot of that. So I got no qualms with anybody who did not like the movie. I had Santa Claus bags full of funds. All the funds. I had so much funds watching this movie. I mean, between the face palming with some of the dialogue that would come out of it to the absolute glorious glee, seeing one kaiju suplex another. I got to tell you, it was just something special. And also, see Kong reign supreme, knock Godzilla out, knocked him out cold. And then, anyway.
You can see how helpless Godzilla is with his shorter arms when they're on land. When they were in the sea,
yeah.
Kong was.
Oh, no, Kong in the water? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
It's 1-1 now, I think.
Yeah, not a lot of ground and pound coming from Godzilla. But I'm telling you, man, watching on the big screen, there's a shot in the trailer where the two of them are kind of standing face to face above an Egyptian pyramid, and they both do their roars. Seeing that, as ridiculous and dumb as that is, seeing that on the big screen, I got chills watching Godzilla and Kong with her. Yeah, I had a blast. And you know what? Say what you will about all the things in this movie that are dumb, because there is a lot. The audience we were in, I can't speak to the audience you saw the movie with, the rest of you, but the audience Ray and I saw this movie with was having a blast.
The first person that I overheard when we walked out of the doors to do the out of theater review was some dude was telling his wife, that was a 10 out of 10 for sure.
Yep, heard a little bit of that.
You know what you're
As
getting
she rolled
into.
her eyes.
You know what you're getting into when you get these movies.
You know what you're getting into. You are not
yeah.
getting Godzilla -1. And I'll tell you what, I say this unabashedly. When it comes to the one kind of thing in the movie, the excitement, the action, This blows Godzilla -1 out of the water. Godzilla -1 is the better movie overall. Make no mistake about it. I'm not saying otherwise. Godzilla -1 is the better movie overall. But when it comes to the action stuff, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I just had a total blast with this. There's a scene in it where Godzilla does something. Ray was talking about it last week. I won't say what it was. Those of you who saw the movie know what we're talking about. Does something that for the first time in my life watching a Godzilla movie made me go, "Aw, Godzilla's adorable." Like, I've never said that before. But they did it, and then they called back to it later on again, and it was just as awesome the next time. I'm telling you, man, it was an $80 million. Incredible.
It was like it's going to be the kids that are going to push this movie over. We at our screening at 4:00, which is fairly early. But half of the theater was like looked like just kids like going to watch a movie.
I mean, there was just a lot of adults there. There was a lot of whatever. Now, one of the things that we kind of called, because this was also Ghostbusters Frozen Empire second weekend, and we all said, yeah, this is going to take a greater than 65% or a greater than 60% drop.
What happened?
And certainly it did. It took a 65.1% drop, but still coming in number 2 on the weekend. Making 15.7. Dune Part 2 has now officially crossed the $600 million mark. It's now at $626 million that it has made, right in the range that I kind of thought it would make in its overall run.
There's no chance it's going to get to 8.
No chance. No chance it gets to 8.
It's going to get 8.
No. I never really thought 8 was a real possibility for this movie.
What was the percentage of drop from the weekend before for Dune?
For Dune?
Does it say?
36%.
That's a pretty great hold.
And it's been that ever since the second weekend. It's been like in the 30s or 20s.
Yes,
it's week to week drop.
It could inch to 700 though. It could inch to 700.
It's possible, but after 5 weeks,
Yeah.
in there, it's still number 3 at the box office after 5 weeks. But today, the story is Godzilla and Kong, and I'm going to tell you right now, Rob, if there wasn't already, the paper has been signed to greenlight Godzilla, Kong 3, Monsterverse 7, whatever it is they're going to do. I guarantee you that this thing is going. Rob, first of all, did you even have a chance to get Godzilla?
Oh, I did.
Okay,
Yes.
so you and I have not talked about it yet.
No.
What did you think about it, and what do you think about an $80 million opening for?
Okay, here's the thing. When I go into a Godzilla movie, you got to go in there with the right state of mind. Like, I already got my Godzilla -1, even minus color. I already got my erudite, soulful, like, art house Godzilla movie, which I never thought I'd get. I got that. So this is not what I wanted from Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire. I wanted to see some kaiju action. I wanted to see some ridiculousness. I wanted to have fun, and I got that. The one thing that my biggest complaint about this ridiculously stupid movie that I loved watching, I don't like the fact they're doing Godzilla dirty in these movies. These movies are clearly all about King Kong. They're all about elevating King Kong. I think they're racist. I think they're speciest. I think Godzilla gets done dirty. Remember, aliens never wanted to borrow King Kong for anything. Aliens borrowed Godzilla and Rodan in 2 different movies. And I'm looking at Kong.
The first one did Godzilla dirty. How can you say that?
Because the first one you didn't even see Godzilla enough.
No, sure. I mean the first Godzilla Kong movie.
Oh.
They elevated him over Kong in that movie.
King Kong got his own realm. He's got the.
I think it is fair to. I think it is fair to say that Godzilla X Kong is more of a Kong-centered movie.
This is an American thing, man.
But Godzilla was elevated, I think, over Kong a bit in the first one.
It actually made Godzilla look more impressive.
Maybe.
They made Godzilla very
I'm
good.
just saying, see, Kong's always been a lover, a tragic romantic hero. That's what Kong has always been. I'll go back to Willis O'Brien's King Kong. You go all the way back. He's always been a tragic romantic figure. I do not like the fact they're trying to elevate his status and make him something he's not.
What was your favorite part?
He's king. He is king. He is king.
Dude, my favorite
Kong.
My favorite part, even though I knew it was coming, when he's got his Infinity Gauntlet.
Right.
I mean, I just thought that was hilarious because
I was laughing.
It's so dumb but so awesome.
It harks back. It even harks back to because like Mecha Kong back from the original Toho '60s. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, Look, if you go back on YouTube and watch my Godzilla King of the Monsters review, I'm jumping out of my chair. I was so excited. This was just kind of like that. I also want to point out, John, I'd be remiss, we were talking about this earlier, but the executive producer of this film, who's a fan of this show, producer Roy Lee, he had 2 victories this weekend, because not only was he a producer on this movie, not only did he have the foresight to get all these great, The Ring, Gore Verbinski's The Ring came out in 4K a week ago, but he also is a producer of Late Night with the Devil, which, by the way, perhaps not 1, 2, or 3, but it's IFC and Shudder's biggest theatrical release, and it barely dropped from its first week to second week in the theater. He also produced that. And Late Night with the Devil shows that not only can Roy Lee produce these giant, dumb, fun movies, he can also make these erudite, elevated horror that delivers the goods. He gets the best scripts in town. The guy can do it all.
By the way, just a little footnote on Late Night with the Devil. In its opening weekend, it made $2.8 million. This weekend, in its second weekend, it only took a 22% drop to 2.2. So it's made about $6 million overall, which is good for them. But
that's a banger. By the way, the movie's a banger.
Back to Godzilla X Kong. I think one of my favorite moments, and giving away a couple of minor moments here for those who haven't seen. Guys, this is Godzilla X Kong. There is no spoiler to it.
And by the way, how many human beings do you think died in this movie?
That's what I was saying.
Oh, Ray
people are like,
a lot of people died.
I got to tell you, when next time someone talks about Man of Steel and gets all mad, like, there's so much collateral damage, I'm like, let's see. Godzilla X Kong says, hold my beer.
Yeah. But one of my favorite moments, I don't know why, but so Kong realizes, okay, we got Scar King. We got Shimo. Is that how you pronounce it? Shimu, whatever. Shima.
I don't know.
Down there. And he's like, okay, I cannot deal with this threat to the planet myself. I'm going to have to get the asshole who lives up top. I love the way the movie says they got their own turf. Godzilla's here. Kong's here. As long as they don't cross paths, everything's fine. He's like, damn it, I got to go get the asshole. I got to go get that dude. So he goes up, and I just love it because he's up there, and Godzilla senses Kong, so he's pissed. Like, you're in my turf now. He's coming, and so he's charging at Kong, and Kong's just like, he's trying to point at the holes, like, no, you don't understand. Like, I don't know why I thought that was like the funniest thing.
Because it was hilarious.
Because trying to explain to guys, like, no, wait, we need it, and then the big fight breaks out.
I will also, John, I will say that this movie, Adam Wingard was very aware that we don't need people talking. Like, just stop talking.
Yeah, because when they did, it was stupid.
Give people what they want, and let's just see some monster foo, and we're gonna get down the way only they can.
And the death count, the one scene in particular that got me was where I probably was the only one in the theater thinking about it, was when the top of the skyscraper, I think Scar threw it.
Yeah.
That's in the trailer.
And King Kong was going.
Yeah, that's.
I
in the
was
trailer.
like, was I the only one thinking, hey, there's some people in that building that didn't get out, and they're a flying projectile.
Just got punched out
Turned to vapor.
Oh my. Okay. Whose idea was it that says, you know what's going to be the precipice that gets this story rolling? A toothache. Yeah. That's going to be our spark. That's our story spark to get the thing going.
During my dentist week too, it was perfect. I was like, I know how that feels.
Guys, question is for you. Godzilla X Kong makes $80 million, making it the biggest opening bar the original 2014 Godzilla. But out of all the MonsterVerse movies, this is the biggest opening they've had. Massively destroyed the box office projections for it. Makes it the second biggest opening of the year so far. How do you guys think about it? Does that surprise you? Were you surprised like me that it made that much? Maybe you weren't surprised at all. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, and before we get to your live questions here, there's a bunch of other things going on in the world of movie news that we thought we should touch on for a little bit. So here are the things in other news. Jonathan, what do we got?
All right. First up, we've got coming out of Variety. Roadhouse is now on Amazon, as we all know. Despite having some mixed reactions from people, it currently holds, I believe, a 59% on Rotten Tomatoes. The movie's actually doing really well on Amazon. According to Variety, Roadhouse was the most watched streaming original title for the week of March 22nd through the 28th. The movie finished just ahead of Netflix's Three Body Problem, which I know you guys all loved. John, buy or sell Roadhouse's success?
Buy it. As a matter of fact, Amazon put out some new numbers saying it is now officially the biggest original release movie they ever had on the platform, which is huge for it. And listen, I know there are people who are like, if it's not Patrick Swayze, it's not. Okay, I get that. Whatever. It's different from the original, I know. And there are some really dumb things in it, kind of like Godzilla X Kong. You know what? That's a good comparable for me. This Roadhouse is kind of comparable to Godzilla X Kong. There's a lot of stupid stuff in it, but the stuff that was fun worked for me, so I buy its success. And it's deserved success. Rob, what do you think?
I've watched it.
First of all, buy or sell?
Oh, I'll buy it.
Nice.
Buy it. I watched it 1.5 times. Because I watched
All
it.
right, baby.
I watched it, and then Elizabeth was watching it, and I kind of got sucked in, and I started watching again. I'm like, okay, it's fun, okay, yeah. But it did make me realize when I see these numbers. I mean, I understand they took the money, they went for the 85 million. This would have killed. This would have.
It would have killed in the box office.
In theaters. I really don't understand why. We knew this. We're just YouTube pundits. We're not people that are spending our own money on making a movie like Roadhouse. Why wouldn't Amazon, with all the money in the world, put this in 3,000, 4,000?
And as good as it did on streaming, #1 in the world, ahead of Three About a Problem, would have done even better.
It would have done even better, and
if
it would have gotten those same numbers with a great theatrical release behind it. This movie would have been so much fun to see in a theater.
Yeah, I
Kind of
agree.
like Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire was.
All right, what's next?
All right. Next, we've got a headline from Deadline, and someone we're all familiar with, Linda Carter, iconic Wonder Woman actress, is suggesting that WB made the wrong move canceling Wonder Woman 3, and suggests fans put pressure on the studio to make the film. In a recent interview, Carter said the following: I don't think they want to do it unless there's enough pressure from fans, said Carter. I just don't think they have the mind to do it. And I don't understand that, because it seems to me that Wonder Woman is different from other characters. She's not just a superhero. Her whole thing is about peaceful solutions. She's not aggressive to be aggressive. It's a different story. It's about inner strength, outer strength. I don't know why they tabled it, because it's a great franchise. So, John, buy or sell Carter wanting Wonder Woman 3 to be put on the slate?
All due respect to the great, iconic Linda Carter, but I sell this. I mean, there's so many reasons. Listen, I really enjoyed the first one that Patty Jenkins directed.
Yep.
I really had a very, very good time with that first Wonder Woman. But like everybody else, I was also extremely let down by 1984. Add on top of that, and I know people get upset when I say this, but Gal Gadot is not a leading lady. It's been proven now over multiple projects. She's not a good choice for a leading lady. And of course, the bigger problem is that DC has moved on from the DCEU. You can't do a Wonder Woman 3 in this new reality that they're doing. So all due respect to Linda Carter, who is iconic. And by the way, I really liked her small role in the second film. It was brought me so much joy to see her in there. But no, this is a definite sell for me. Rob?
Sell. Wonder Woman 2, Wonder Woman 84 was one of the most disappointing films I've seen in a while. Coming off the first one.
Yeah.
Really, what a misfire
And
on
that
every
first one
level.
was so good. Like it felt like so many things that the first one did well, they just kind of threw out in the second one. I just didn't understand it. All right, what's next?
All right. In other news, Oppenheimer.
I see Oppenheimer.
Yeah, has just opened in Japanese theaters, and according to Variety, it opened strong. More than 8 months and one Oscar Best Picture win after Oppenheimer landed in theaters. Christopher Nolan's historic epic still finding new audiences. The film opened over the weekend in its final market, which was Japan, with $2.5 million from 343 theaters. That may seem small, but according to Universal Pictures, Oppenheimer is the biggest opening weekend of 2024 for a Hollywood release in Japan, surpassing Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which was 1.6 million, and Dune Part 2, which was 1.3 million. Rob, buy or sell, calling Oppenheimer's Japanese opening a success?
Buy. Absolutely a success. I mean, to get the Japanese to come out to see this movie, I mean, it has something to say to everybody.
I mean, I gotta buy it. I mean, this is great because the number for me that is really interesting in all this isn't 2.5, but it's in context to what have other Hollywood films done here. It outperformed the opening weekend of Dune Part 2. It outperformed the opening weekend of Aquaman, which some of you may say, wait, Aquaman came out in 2023, not in Japan. came out in 24. So it's the biggest opening for a Western film there. And Rob, to your point, there was a lot of talk about whether a Japanese audience could embrace this, considering the subject matter of the film. And it kind of looks like they were as interested as anybody else to check it out. And yet another big win for Oppenheimer. All right, what's next?
All right. According to IndieWire, Top Gun producer Jerry Bruckheimer says Joseph Kosinski is already has the idea for Top Gun 3 and is developing a script for it, but has no idea when it could actually go into production. It will be Tom Cruise, Bruckheimer said, of the hypothetical third movie. Tom is amazing. We spent time with him. We have a story. Joe Kosinski had a wonderful story idea for it. And Tom said he really liked that. So we're developing it. But you never know when it's going to get made because Tom is so busy. He went on to say he's doing Mission Impossible right now. He's got a picture after it. So hopefully we'll get a screenplay that he loves and we'll be back in the air again. Rob, do you buy or sell a third Top Gun movie actually being produced?
Buy it. Why not? I think everybody looks at it and goes, I mean, Tom Cruise, it's his biggest grossing movie of all time. Why not do another one? If the story's good, he'll do it.
I am actually going to sell it.
Well,
now, again, if I had to put money on, I'm not sure, but here's the thing that gets me. Tom Cruise right now is 61 years old. And God let me look as good as Tom Cruise does at 61. But he still has to do the new Mission Impossible. Then he's got another film he's already committed to doing after that. And there hasn't even been any discussion about this one he's supposed to be doing in outer space. So that could be 3 more films. We are talking potentially that even if they move forward with a Top Gun 3, they may not get moving on until Tom Cruise is 66 years old. Now, will I still go see it? Yes. Absolutely, I will. But the passion to do the project might wane. So I wouldn't bet against it coming, but my guess is it won't. Right now, my guess is it won't, but I won't be shocked if it does. All right. What's next?
All right. Finally up in other news. According to a story in Joe Blow, Invincible actor Ezra Miller, who's in season 1, did the voice of the mad scientist D.A. Sinclair. He's been removed from the show and replaced in season 2 with seasoned voice acting vet Eric Bauza. Following a string of behavioral controversies, which we've all become familiar with, Miller currently has no projects listed as upcoming on his IMDb page. Nor do I, so he shouldn't feel too bad. John, considering it's an animated show and many people may have not known it was even Ezra Miller to begin with, do you buy or sell Miller not returning for season 2?
I buy it. Listen, I get it that some people may want to say, hey, he was barely going to be in it. A lot of people wouldn't even have recognized his voice. What was the point in removing Ezra Miller from it? I understand that argument. But if you're the showrunners and the producers and the studio and the people who put in your blood, sweat, and money into making this project, why would you have a potential problem if you don't need to have a potential problem? Right? Because I think a lot of people are absolutely right. Maybe they could have done it and had Ezra Miller still do the voice, and no one would have even noticed that it was Ezra Miller, and it would have been fine. But it very well could have become a problem for them. And why have a problem if you don't need to? And when it's your money and your project that's on the line, you'll make different decisions than when it's somebody else who has no skin in the game. And so, look, while I hope for the absolute best for the health, recovery, rehabilitation, all that kind of stuff for Ezra Miller. Yeah, if the producers of Invincible were to call me and say, do you think we should keep Ezra Miller in this? I would say, why would you? I mean, you're just inviting problems to maybe happen. Play it safe, get somebody else. Anyway, 100%. Rob, do you buy or sell them getting rid of Ezra Miller?
Oh, I buy it 100% for what you just said. I mean, obviously you can't, why afford to have why give yourself a liability if you don't have to have one? Why do that? Why do that to yourself?
All right, guys. And that's the wrap on In Other News today. All right, guys, now we're going to get on to the most important part of our show, of course, which is taking your thoughts, theories, opinions, and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank the sponsor of today's episode, my mobile service provider, and they should be yours, Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a moment and thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by overpriced wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I heard that for a limited time, all Mint Mobile wireless plans are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they sell wireless services online. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings on to you. And guys, you know, ever since I switched over to Mint Mobile, I am spending less than 1/3 on my wireless bills than I used to with one of the major carriers. So say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with your existing contacts. So guys, to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions may apply. See Mint Mobile for details. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. Guys, absolutely make sure you go and check out Mint Mobile. I'm spending less than 1/3 of what I used to spend. Go and check them out at mintmobile.com/Campea. All right. With that all down, guys, let's get into the most important stuff of our day, which is you. Jonathan, what do we got up here first?
We've got Suthius up first. Is it just me, or was Godzilla pretty much Jason Statham in the Crank movie? Well, honestly, my least favorite portrayal of him in this franchise so far.
I don't know, man. Look, there's something cool about... So Godzilla basically has... Let me restart. One of the big differences between Godzilla and Kong is that they give Godzilla superpowers, right? Godzilla has superpowers, including in several of the movies, and this one particularly, Spidey sense. Godzilla has Spidey sense. And so he knows. He can just... Yeah, something big is coming that I got to deal with. Time to get my Godzilla roids. So he goes to a little nuclear power plant, sucks in the energy, goes, that's not enough. Need a bigger hit.
Oh, yeah.
So he goes down. By the way, I feel bad for this other creature that was just minding its own business.
Sleeping.
Out there in the Arctic, just minding its own business.
Chilling.
Godzilla coming around and chops him up into sushi. Okay, that's all good.
Godzilla got to eat.
Yeah.
Godzilla got to eat. Godzilla got to get souped up because he's got big problems coming if he's going to protect nature. So I got to tell you, I did not mind the portrayal of Godzilla at all. He was a bad MFer there to take care of business.
I was sad that he did lose his chubbiness. He looks to be like going into that more adult.
He wanted to drop
skinny,
down a weight class.
You know, so yes, of
He's
course
doing
he's
the
Jason
28 days chair challenge.
Statham. He looks
Yeah, the
pretty fit.
20-day yoga chair challenge. Yeah. Anyway, so Rob, you articulated a little bit earlier that you were not looking for the Godzilla -1 Godzilla in this.
No.
What did you think about how Godzilla came off in the movie?
Well, I do think that he gets a little done dirty. It is clear that there's an American bias making Kong the kind of character he is in these movies, and that they don't truly, the Japanese understand that Godzilla being a protector of nature, they can wrap their heads around things. They have a whimsy that we don't have in America. We want everything. I mean, that's why Kong is like Ryan Gosling in The Notebook. That's exactly. That is what Americans have done to Kong.
Rob. I buy it.
Come on.
You're just mad of all that ground and
With
pound that
beauty
Kong
that
laid
killed
on
the beast.
Godzilla.
Come on, man. No, Godzilla is exalted. Godzilla is beyond it. Look, the only reason that Godzilla's in these movies at all is he just figures he needs a little bit more screen time just because, he's been around for 70 years. He doesn't have to prove anything to anyone.
Yeah.
He's had 3 different eras
Yeah.
of movies, and what does Kong have?
Well, he's been around since the 30s.
Yeah, it's been around a
Well,
long time.
okay. Okay. But he's never met aliens.
In one answer, Rob was
Well,
destroyed.
that's true, but the creators of King Kong have never felt the need to give him superpowers either. He's just got although they have given him an infinity
And by the way, the Japanese put Kong and Godzilla together before the Americans did. Just saying.
That's true. In 2
Twice.
very ugly costumes. Remember that King Kong costume they had? Oh, that was bad. All right, what's next?
What's next is Ian McAllister with a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Ian, for supporting us on that level, man.
Not sure Not sure if you've seen it, but I replayed God of War Ragnarok recently, and the conversation in the beginning of the game between Kratos, Thor, and Odin had me as captivated as any HBO show. Richard Schiff in the Prime series.
I don't know that I would call that at the beginning of the game. That was a lot. When I heard that Richard Schiff was going to be doing Odin, of course from West Wing fame, I thought, no, that's pretty cool. And he looks nothing like Odin that you would think of, right? But man, it worked in that. I watched, I think it might be the first time I've ever watched a cutscene movie from a game, because it ended up being like 17 hours. I watched it twice. And Richard Schiff as Odin, I thought was absolutely fabulous. That being said, no, I don't think they'll get Richard Schiff to be Odin in the Amazon series. I think they'll go with a more of a traditional, what we think of as Odin, a little bit. So, but I would be all for it. Rob, what do you think?
Why not? I love Richard Schiff. I'm a huge West Wing fan. I love him. Love Richard Schiff.
He's so good. I got really excited when I saw him in Man of Steel too. All right, what's next?
All right, Mr. Godzilla with a two-parter. I saw Godzilla and Kong on Saturday. Loved it, but I looked ahead for the upcoming movies. Would it be fair to say Apes is the first film that would take away the audience from Godzilla and Kong? Part 2, I know Civil War and Gentlemanly Warfare, I'm looking forward to that one, and Fall Guy are coming out before Apes, and while they'll win their box office weekend probably, none of those films target the same audience for Godzilla and Kong.
Definitely not Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
That's not targeting anywhere. But the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare,
I could see that.
the same people who are jumping out of their seats at one Titan suplexing another one are the ones who are going to be interested in seeing, you know, Henry Cavill machine gunning down a bunch of Nazis.
And then stick his tongue out at him.
And then stick his tongue out while he's doing it. Now, that movie, while I am dying to see it and I cannot wait, is not going to be a huge box office hit. But Fall Guy is going to be a big hit.
And it's got Ryan Gosling. And
Yeah.
Kong is the Ryan Gosling of the Monsterverse.
Yep. And it's got one of the stars of the reigning defending Best Picture of the world, Oppenheimer, and Emily Blunt. And the responses and reviews coming out for it are fantastic. I actually had somebody arguing with me the other day, believing it's going to be $1 billion film. I do not believe that Fall Guy's going to be $1 billion film, but it's going to be a hit.
Theaters would love that, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to do real good. It's going to be really good for the theaters. It ain't going to be $1 billion film, but I'm really excited. So that one is going to hurt too. And then, of course, we've got Planet of the Apes, which I'm so excited.
Did you see the new IMAX trailer?
No.
That dropped today?
For which?
That dropped today?
Okay, it has a scene. It starts with a scene, and then you see more stuff. It gives you more of the sense of story, dude.
I'm going to have to go and look for that.
Cannot wait.
All right, what's next?
We got, let's see, it was in between. Oh, here, I got to come down. Donnie Wells says, great. We're going to see 50 Godzilla movies in the next 3 years.
We're going to see a few more. But listen, that's the thing about the
Monarch
movie
season 2.
Oh,
I
is there?
want them to do. No, they haven't said yet. I really want a Monarch season 2 badly. We as the audience only have one means of communication with studios, and it's not your fucking pathetic petitions or crying headlines or whatever stupid title I put on a YouTube video. The studios don't give two shits about any of that. Our communication device as fans with the studios is dollars. And when Godzilla -1 is making that much money for a Japanese film, and Godzilla X Kong opens up to $80 million, that is us, whether we like it or not. This is us as the audience saying to the studios, we want more of this. That's what the studio's here. So if it's what people want, look, do I feel the need for another Godzilla X Kong movie? No. Am I going to go see another Godzilla X Kong movie? You're damn right I am. and that's the message that the studios are hearing. So yeah, I mean, not 50 more, but we're going to get a couple more. That's for sure. And they're all going to be the same. It's all going to be the same thing, but we're going to keep going. All right, what's next?
Raymond Verada says, rest in peace, Chance Perdomo of Gen V. Though I've only seen you in one series, your passing came as a shock to many. We will always remember you for your work.
Again, you know, we've talked, especially in the past year, about the passing of some absolutely true Hollywood legends. But when that happens, we're also able to look at it saying, man, what a career, what a life. and it's all tragic, but there's a different element of the tragedy when it's somebody who is just getting going. And that just adds to the, we'll never get to see what he was really capable of doing and how far he'd be able to go. And that's just another part of the tragedy to it. All right, what's next?
J Loco says, a Titan-size $80 million weekend, baby. The Monsterverse ain't going nowhere. Ray, you feel me, baby?
Yeah, man, I do. It's not going anywhere.
I'll tell you what, there's just something to it. And you know what, Rob, I get asked all the time, for years. What do you think the chances are that they cross over the Pacific Rim universe with the Godzilla and Kong universe? And I would always say, and up till now we've been right. Nah. You know what? I don't know if that's as ridiculous of a concept as it was a few years ago.
Oh, it's absolutely not. And dude, Pacific Rim is one of the greatest movies ever made. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. The first one.
Wow.
And I stand by this. The only problem with that movie is it's not 4 hours long.
I'm with you, Rob.
I love Pacific Rim. And there's no reason why they can't, tie these movies together.
Now imagine the threat next time is even too big for Godzilla and Kong combined to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
And the humans have to make some mechs.
Dude, you know what I'm waiting for? This is the next thing. The next thing, aliens.
Yeah.
Aliens,
Romulus?
Godzilla versus the Astro Monster, the aliens from Planet X. We have the aliens already in Pacific
Are you
Rim.
talking literal aliens? I thought you were talking about the movie Aliens coming.
No, I'm talking about literal aliens.
Right.
We need aliens in the MonsterVerse. They're a staple of Godzilla movies, whether they're the Mysterons, or pardon me, the Mysterians, the Mysterons, or Gary Anderson. I'm just telling you, we need aliens. We need the controller back. We need Planet X back. We need aliens that want to borrow. Can we borrow Godzilla and Rodan to use to solve our Ghidorah problem?
Then again,
Sure.
I don't know if
Well,
they
they
need
already
to
solved
go
it.
into aliens yet, because in this movie, one of the things that they introduce is that, listen, we've got 5% of Hollow Earth charted. 5%. So there's still a lot of stuff they can do
You
with
think
Hollow
there
Earth.
can't be extra-dimensional aliens that live in the Hollow Earth? Of course there can be.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I want aliens
I do.
in Godzilla X Kong.
How can you watch Godzilla X Kong and not want aliens at the end? Come on, man. What do you think Pacific Rim has? Aliens that launch kaiju from the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
Aliens
Hey,
and flying saucers.
Say it more, Rob.
These are staples of the Godzilla franchise, of the Showa era. Come on.
all right, what's next?
We're gonna find out. Tim finished Three Body Problem yesterday, and it is amazing.
All right, I gotta tell you what. I was telling Ray this the other day. So the other night, Ann and I get back from being out for the evening. It's about 9:30, too early to go to bed. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get started on Three Body Problem. I'm gonna watch the first episode. Finish the first episode. I'm like, it's still not terribly late. I'll watch one more. Then the second one ended, and I looked over on the other end of the couch, and Ann is sleeping now on the couch with the two dogs curled up with her. I'm like, all right, I'll watch another one. 6 a.m. comes, I finish the final episode. I watched the whole season in one night. It's not Shogun,
Right.
but it's really good. And it's what I listened, actually driving into work today, the first episode of the official podcast, and they have this literal physicist who's a host of it, and this other fanboy. And they were talking about how this is what's called hard sci-fi. And I never heard the term before, but hard sci-fi is when the sci-fi in the movie is based on real science. And I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. And I got to tell you, I really enjoyed it a lot. I mean, again, it's not on House of the Dragon level or Last of Us or Shogun, but I really enjoyed it, Rob. So did you finish off the season yet?
I watched it twice.
Really?
No, I've not
His
only
own field
have
book.
I watched it twice, but I've also watched the Chinese version as well. That's now streaming, I think, on Amazon. I watch it on the Tencent channel on YouTube, but now it's on Amazon. The Netflix show has some of the second book, and it dips into the third book a little bit. The Chinese show only dealt with the first book, but for all the people that complained, as an adaptation goes, I mean, they take a lot of liberties. I thought it was terrific. It was a great Western adaptation of that series. And by the way, it's almost, if you knew where it goes, the first season does not even begin to touch on how insane the story goes in books 2 and 3. It gets so insane, you can't believe how insane it gets.
One of the things that really caught me in it too was like, I stopped at 5, every time a Game of Thrones actor came up, and I stopped at 5. Everything from Tarly to Davos, the High Septum. I mean, I think I stopped counting at 5. That might have just been 5, but yeah, I mean, obviously Benioff and Weiss.
How great was him? Ian Cunningham. Is it Ian Cunningham who played Sir Davos? How great is he?
So good.
Oh,
I mean, I
yeah,
want to see
okay.
a prequel show because he's, when he's telling the naval commander who he works for, and they don't say like who he works for, but I used to work for MI5.
He was a low key MVP of Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah,
Like, because he was one of the best characters in that show. Like pure honor, I loved him in that.
he's
All
such
right,
a great actor. He's great in this.
what's next?
Robert says, I saw Immaculate in Late Night with the Devil. Immaculate was good, but Late Night with the Devil with David Dastmalchian is amazing. I recommend both.
For those of you who don't know, David is that guy who just appears in everything and nobody knows his name.
He was an Ant-Man.
He was in
Everything-
Dune 1.
He was in Ant-Man. He was in Dune.
Yeah, that's
he was
right,
in The
Dune,
Dark
yeah.
Knight. He was in he's now probably oddly enough best known as Polka Dot Man.
Right.
In there as well. It's always
Late
awesome.
Night with the Devil is so good. For what it is, it's so good. Not even just for what it is. It's just so good.
And having real success right now too. All right, what's next?
All right, James says, after Godzilla and Kong ended, is safe to officially call him King Kong. Keep it filthy.
I mean that's always been his name. He is King Kong. And I don't. One of the things that they keep doing, the evolution, I think, of this series has been, number one, they keep giving Godzilla more and more superpowers. Number two, King Kong becomes more and more anthropomorphized. He becomes more and more human-like. And I got to tell you, I'm not mad at either of those things as this thing goes. And it's working for me. But listen, they clearly, while this movie is more of a Kong movie than a Godzilla movie, I think the last one, Godzilla versus Kong, I think that one was a little bit more of a Godzilla movie than it was a Kong movie. And one of the things that I really liked in this, and we mentioned it earlier, is that the way they laid out what the world is. Okay, you got 2 neighborhood bosses. One is the boss of the surface world. One is the boss of Hollow Earth. And as long as they stay out of each other's territory, everything's fine. Actually, there's one great line where one scientist asks, what's the actress's name? Who's the main
Rebecca Hall.
Rebecca Hall. I love her.
I do too.
Vicky Cristina, by the way, you want to see how good Rebecca Hall is? Go see Vicky Cristina in Barcelona. Anyway, one scientist says Rebecca Hall, and what happens if they do go into each other's neighborhoods? And the just close up of her face, she goes, "We run," which is because like these two do not like each. And so I thought it gives a real, even though this particular movie was more Kong, I think they just show that they are both the kings of their realms. That's how I saw it, at any rate. All right, what's next?
We got Danito who says Warner Brothers Legendary is killing it this year. The box office, I'm pretty sure Disney will have the last laugh with Inside Out 2 and Deadpool.
Man, I don't know.
They have to be good.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? They've got to be good. In theory, okay, in theory. Let's say Inside Out 2 is as good as Inside Out 1. That's going to make a lot of money. And if Deadpool is as good, not better, but as good as the medium average of Deadpool 1 and 2, it's going to make a lot of money. But Rob, as you just said, it all depends on if they're good or not, and we'll have to see.
Did you see the new Deadpool trailer? It was on Facebook.
No, when did it drop?
I don't know if it's on YouTube, if it was a TV spot. I don't know what I saw, but it had a lot more of the plot of Deadpool. It talked about Sokovia. It talked about a lot of other things, different footage, different.
Oh, that
things.
might be the one they showed during that UFC event, John.
I'm sure that's probably
okay.
what it was because
Deadpool was the sponsor of that the.
It was
last
stuff I
pay-per-view.
hadn't seen before
Yeah.
that added a lot more. It made me much more interested in the plot of the film. Really interesting.
All right, what's next?
We got Kevin's with $100 super chat.
Oh my God, Kevin. Thank you so much, man, you've been supporting us a whole ton. Thank you so much for supporting our show on that level, man. It means a lot, not just us in this room, but everybody who watches the show. We all thank you for supporting us on that level, man. That's incredible. What does Kevin have to say?
Kevin says, hey, John and crew, Dune Part 2 really gave me one of my all-time favorite scenes, and in light of that, as well as my passion for acting, I have decided to recreate it. War Council scene. And the language is a tough one, but that has been the hardest part.
I mean, one of the cool things in a lot of different types of movies is when you have to create a language and to make it actually sound like a language. Klingon got better and better.
Ray and I are good at that.
Right? Klingon got better and better as it went. But oftentimes you could tell it's just a lot of syllables and whatever. Man, when the actors spoke in Fremen, in Dune 2, it sounds like they're speaking a legitimate language. Like it really does.
Well, it descends from languages here.
Yeah. I mean, they just did such a good job. And the actors spoke them as if it was their native tongue. Like it's one of the really powerful parts of the movie that just really goes. So yeah, I mean, if you can figure out a way to actually do it.
I want to know what he means by recreate the scene.
Get some friends together.
Yeah, like is he going to go get a bunch of fundamentalists and try and preach to the choir?
Yeah. Well, no, but he's an actor, so he probably
extras.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but I just liked how he worded that.
But you know, to the point though, like I have now watched this movie 4 times, and I'll once it hits on WB or hits on Max, I'll watch it a bunch more. But yeah, man, that scene, I think I'm now firm on it. It is the War Council scene is my second favorite scene of all time.
Wow.
Only behind the Luke Vader in the Emperor's throne room in Return of the Jedi. That's my all-time favorite, but I really think this is my second all-time favorite scene. I get chills every time I watch it, like absolute chills. Whenever, especially when he says, what's the wording? I will point the way. I'm the one who points the way. None of you can stand against me. It's like, slow down. And it's just chilling. Like how Timothée Chalamet can just shift gears. Like is amazing. He's truly one of the best actors on the planet. Oh God, I love that scene. Every time I watch it, I just get chills. All right, what's next?
Patrick Stewart says, with a $50 super chat.
Thank you, Patrick, for supporting us on that level, man.
He says, happy April. My dad and I are excited to see Dumb and Dumber reissue at the local Regal Cinema later. It'll be my first time seeing it. Oh, man, that's great.
His first time?
Yeah.
You get to watch it for the first time?
In a theater with his dad.
Oh, my God.
Something funny for a day that's supposed to be funny.
Dude. Dumb and Dumber is one of those movies where you keep hearing about it. And then once you see it, you'll know, oh, the hype doesn't even do it justice. It is truly one of the funniest movies ever made. If you have a little bit of a, childlike sense of humor, which a lot of us do, the Jeff, what's Jeff's last name?
Daniels.
Daniels. The Jeff Daniels bathroom scene. There's not many times in my life that I have laughed sorry, Marcus, why with the bird thing? Where I have laughed as hard as I did in the bathroom scene.
It's so dumb.
The movie is so dumb and so brilliant.
There's just even like subtle things that if you watch it more and more, like near the beginning, and this isn't like ruining anything, but like they're coming out of their apartment building and they're like talking about what they got to do, and in the background there's just some bum pissing on the wall, like just like all these little things you don't notice.
And his face during that scene, the fact that I never gone cross-eyed before, it just makes it so funny.
Oh no, the line, like, first of all, it's Anne's all-time favorite comedy is Dumb and Dumber, but I've lost count of how many times something's come up where something has happened and then Anne goes, "You've had 2 pairs of gloves this whole time." Like one of the funny, dude, I'm so jealous you get to see it for the first time. Have a blast. It is truly one of the greatest comedies ever. All right, what's next?
Raymond is back and says, Ewan McGregor can play Obi-Wan now until A New Hope gets redone. People joke about him being Star Wars Jesus, but He did play Jesus in a 2015 movie.
I mean, look, the funny thing is, and I can't remember who said this to me at first, but I kind of agree. As Ewan McGregor gets older, he's looking more and more like Alec Guinness. Like, to me, like, his Obi-Wan is starting to look more and more like Obi-Wan, like the Alec Guinness Obi-Wan. And listen, whether they do an Obi-Wan season 2 or not, I am down to seeing him as Obi-Wan more. I mean, and even once he hits Alec Guinness's age, he's here. Like, keep using him if you want, if you have the right story. Don't make an Obi-Wan thing just for the sake of doing it. But I mean, if something comes up where you need an Obi-Wan character, it should be him for the rest of his life, I think. All right, what's next?
Amin says, quote of the day, if you can't bring down the charging bull, then don't wave the red cape at it. Man, there were a lot of brilliant lines in BVS and JL. There were a lot of other types of lines too, but...
You know, I make no apologies that I liked both of those movies the first time I saw them both in theaters. I really enjoyed Batman versus Superman. I acknowledge that Batman versus Superman, the ultimate cut or whatever they called it, I acknowledge that that's probably a little bit better. But, you know, as our good friend Cliff Stevens would say, who's big in the industry, he says, you know, the key with director's cuts is not just backing up a truck and dumping more footage in.
Yeah.
It's about understanding to take certain things out and to rearrange things a little bit and make it. And honestly, the thing about Batman versus Superman, the ultimate cut, was it did feel like they just backed up a dump truck and just threw more footage in it. And again, whatever, but I really liked it. And I liked Justice League the first time I saw it. I make no apologies for it. Now, do I think the Max version of Justice League is the superior version? Yes, I do. But I like both of them. And, you know, it's the funny thing is, with all the failure that the DCEU had, I still only ever had two of them that I didn't like. Wonder Woman 84 and
that other one.
wait a second. No, oh yeah, and
You didn't
Harley Quinn.
like Birds of Prey.
Yeah, Birds of Prey, The Fabulous Emancipation One, Harley Quinn. Those are the only two I didn't like. I liked every other movie the DCU ever did, but unfortunately, I am in very rare company. Not a lot of people felt the same way, and the whole cinematic universe failed. But I thought there were a lot of great lines in those movies. I really did. I thought there were a lot of good ones. All right, what's next?
Seconds from Disaster says, Godzilla and Kong was so much fun, so many awesome kaiju fights, laughed so much with the one-liners, and Scar King reminded me of Conor McGregor. Oh, baby!
How you doing, fellas? He reminds you of a cross of Conor McGregor and Danny DeVito. Scar King. I mean,
Man, that's
just,
a mix.
by the way, too, this is how bad the movie is in some ways. There is a major MacGuffin in this movie, right? A major MacGuffin. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, I won't explain what it does, but the blue crystal. What the fuck is that?
Oh, that's meth.
Yeah, man.
Where did it come from? Why does it do what it does?
It's magic, dude.
That's a pretty important thing. And how did Scar King find it and figure out how to use it? And I mean, it's just like, it's a pretty important thing. I'm not saying everything in every movie needs to be explain-o-visioned, but that's a pretty significant fucking thing. And it's just, oh no, it's just there. It's just there. I'm like, oh, okay.
It happens.
That's
Sure.
where you think too much. That's where you're thinking too much during this movie.
I don't
How
know
did
what
it
the
get?
fuck this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, come on, what is it?
That's when
This
you're supposed to
movie
just eat more
does.
popcorn.
This movie does pick up after that first knockout. You know which one I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
That first knockout, it was on. I was like, I had to move my recliner up to the seating position. I was
Like,
ready.
oh,
to
now
go
it's
at that-
real. Now it's serious. Ray's sitting up. Oh my God, this is getting real now.
That first knockout was just so well done.
When Ray is engaged at the movie theater, you better watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Listen, I'm telling you what. When Ray is engaged in a movie theater,
Yeah.
it's loud. It's loud. I'm not kidding you. There's a lot of what? Yeah. You know, like a lot of hooting and hollering. Like when Ray's into a movie,
no, but
it's an
that-
experience.
Yeah. I sat next to him at the
Beetle?
on your left scene for Endgame, and he was like standing up. Yeah, let's go, baby. I'm like, oh, okay.
And she was like looking at me like,
I'm like sinking
he's
further
all
in my
laid back,
chair.
he's like just smiling.
I unfortunately did not get to sit beside him in Moonfall. Though.
You-
I had to sit.
I did.
Yeah.
we were watching a comedy. If you did the
We were,
soundtrack.
yeah. Moonfall.
We were
Come
just
on.
laughing the whole time.
Ray is awakened.
All right, what's next?
All right, we got. Oh, let me get rid of that. We got Juliana Goodwin says, "What was a movie you regret showing a family member?" I told the Batman crew. I showed my 15-year-old, 15-year-old niece Danny DeVito's War of the Roses, and I regretted it immensely.
Yeah, I wouldn't have sure. I don't really have one.
I think it's with me. It's anything that's obnoxiously cussing, like a lot of cuss words. Like it's just, and it happens to everyone's quiet, and that just, like, and at a family party or something like that. That's where it kind of gets a
I don't
little.
think I've ever done that.
Oh, I've got one.
Okay, here's mine. But it's not a family member. This is back in my seminary days.
Mm-hmm.
But at a conference, and me and a buddy of mine wanted to see, because we're big movie fans, obviously, we wanted to see Starship Troopers. And at this conference was this national bishop and coming with us to see this great sci-fi movie.
This is getting better and better.
Yeah, this great. Obviously, I was there to take, and of course, then there's the shower scenes and the sex in the tent. And like, yeah, that was a little weird.
He's no longer.
What's yours?
I told my parents to go see Blood Simple, the Coen brothers debut feature,
yeah.
which is a dark noir thriller. It was great. I'd just seen it, and my parents went with two other couples. To this day, my mom is going to be 85 years old in 10 days. To this day, she still is convinced that the reason, because her friends tell her this, Carol Backer, my godmother, tells my mother still 40 years later that I told them all to go see Blood Simple because I hated my parents. And my mother she never ceases to remind me of this. She forgets everything else, but she'll tell you, I can't believe you made me go see that horrible movie. And I'm like, it was a great movie, Mom. It was a horrible movie.
All right, what's next?
We got Charles who says, from MTL, I guess that's Quebec, Canada?
Montreal.
Montreal, Quebec. Before moving into the studio, you had said you do a stream of all of you playing D&D. Now that you're moving out, are you still going to do it, or have I missed it? P.S. Habs rule.
Habs suck. Habs suck.
What's that?
The Montreal Canadiens.
Oh.
Their nickname is the Habs. The greatest rivals to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Or the
of all
Have-Nots.
Oh, the have-nots.
Oh,
time. The Have-Nots. I like that.
wow.
I like
Being a
that.
sports fan, right?
All right.
I'm a sports fan. Sure.
So here's the thing. I don't think I ever said we would do a D&D stream. Like, I know I've had people, because we had a D&D group, and there are people say, you should stream it. And I've always said, no. Because the people who we play D&D with don't want to have to be, like,
Clothed.
aware of, like, oh gosh, a few hundred or a few thousand or a few tens of thousands of people are watching me. And people aren't going to be able to be free and open and just have a good time.
Oh, you're talking about me.
Well, not just you, but
Yeah.
others.
Because I remember because we were going to do that Star Wars one too, and we all kind of agreed, like, I don't know.
No, we just edited. Remember,
Yeah.
we just recorded it, and then I could put together a quick little 5-minute edited thing, right? But like when you get together with a group of friends, you can joke and laugh in ways that you and your friends are comfortable with, and you
Yeah.
can say certain things that your friends will not take the wrong way because you're friends. But you put like cameras on everybody,
Yeah.
all of a sudden people are going to be uncomfortable, and they're not going to be able to have a good time, and that's why we didn't do anything like that. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Tucker Flynn who says, "What with a $20 super chat?"
Thank you, Tucker.
Yeah, says, What's good, y'all? Been a minute since I've been able to watch live and write in. My question, with April being light on the releases, what do you see as the floor ceiling for its two releases, Civil War and Challengers?
No idea. Honestly, no idea.
Challengers is the Zendaya.
It's the
tense
Zendaya
Yeah, it's
threesome movie. Yes.
The Luca Guadagnino.
I don't think that's going to be huge. I think it's going to be very good, but I don't think it's going to be huge. Civil War, I also don't think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be very good. The one I'm really looking forward to is Monkey Man.
Yep.
That opens this week. That's the one I'm super stoked about. And when does Planet of the Apes come out?
That's me.
That's not till May.
or-
Okay.
And let's not forget the first Omen.
Oh, that's right.
Going back to the ratings board a number of times to get that R. Oh, I can't wait. You know me and Satan.
What?
That should be on your T-shirt. Robert Meyer Burnett. You know me and Satan.
I'm a fan of man.
All right,
humanist.
what's next?
We got. Ryan Trabuco with $100 super chat.
Oh my
Oh
God,
my
Ryan!
God.
Thank you so much, man. That's incredibly generous of you. Thank you, dude, for supporting us that way. What does Ryan have to say?
Ryan says, "Hey, John and crew. Hope you all had a great Easter weekend. I want to thank you for everything that you do. The last 7 months have been hard. Your show has been a bright spot in the not so good times. Just started a new job recently, so here's to paying it forward."
Oh,
Wow.
dude,
Oh, thank you.
thank you so much for saying it's great to have you here. Thank you for being a part of what we do. And listen, I always talk about when I'm going through a lot of crap or whatever, there's nothing better than either watching a good movie or talking with some other people about movies. It doesn't fix the problems, but it just puts you in a better headspace to deal with them. And you come out a little bit more refreshed. I say that all the time, but it's true. That's why I don't just believe movies are great. I believe movies are important. And the communities that celebrate movies, I think, are important, which is why I get kind of pissed off when I see people damaging the fan community. But that's another topic for another time. But anyway, I'm so glad we could be here and to have you here with us as well and being a part of it. That's awesome. So thank you so much. And thank you for supporting us. And congrats on the new gig, man. I hope it goes really well for you. All right. What's next?
All right, moving on to our member chat. Real Slim Shady says, "Hey crew, have you guys heard about the new Universal Park? It's called the Epic Universe. It consists of 5 worlds: How to Train Your Dragon, Harry Potter, Celestial Park, Super Nintendo, and Dark Universe. I'm excited. What are your guys' thoughts? F Disneyland."
I'm not a big park guy. But I love Universal Studios Hollywood. I mean, I absolutely love between.
Are they expanding this to there?
I think they're talking about the
it's probably
Florida
Florida.
one.
Oh,
I think this is going to be Florida. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I think it's Florida that they're doing this. But I love the one in Hollywood, like between the Harry Potter land, which is amazing. The new Nintendo World that's there, amazing. The studio tour is second to none. I love the place a lot better than that Disneyland crap. So I have a very good time there. But it's I hear they're doing some really good, incredible expansion. So we'll see. All right, what's next?
Okay, Alan says, let me scroll up here. "Happy Monday, Campea crew. I watched Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I liked the ending of the movie, but I thought the first and second acts of the movie were so slow. I fell asleep through some of the second act, but I don't plan to rewatch what I missed."
Your criticism is very close to mine. Not only did I think the first 2 acts were slow, I thought none of it worked. The jokes did not land. Their nostalgia hits felt pathetic and desperate. They felt desperate. The first 2 acts of the movie did not work for me at all. The third one started to click. The third act started to click for me, and I had a good time with the third act. But yeah, even though I give it a thumbs up, in a thumbs up or thumbs down world, I give Ghostbusters Frozen Empire a very reserved thumbs up. But I'd be more than okay if they never made another one again. I just kind of feel like it was just the same thing over and over again. And now there's a new global monster ghost threat that we've never faced. I felt like it's time to move on. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Raja Sakar, who says, "John saw Next Goal Wins and have to say the fall of Taika Waititi as a director is startling. Tough to believe it's the same guy who made Jojo Rabbit, Boy, Hunt for the Wilder People. Do you reckon capitalist Hollywood killed the artist in him?"
You're saying that after one movie?
I think he's including Thor probably too. But
2 movies? By the way, that Thor movie made over $700 million. Just throwing that out there. That's like saying watching a basketball game back in the 80s and 90s and Michael Jordan misses a shot and go, "Oh, the fall of Michael Jordan. Oh, wow, he sucks now." Look, you list off all those movies and the Academy Awards and the huge hits and the big television success, not to mention, don't forget about the work he did on Mandalorian and all that kind of stuff. All those wins. But oh man, the fall of listen, I didn't like Next Goal Wins. Let's be clear. I didn't like the movie pretty much at all. But it was a small little passion project of his that he made for next to no money. And it was just something that was very personal to him, and they made it. And yeah, it still should have been good, and it wasn't. I didn't like the movie. I gave it a bad review. I don't think it's very good. But this notion of, oh my God, the fall of this thing after what, 2 projects?
Yeah.
I think you're getting way ahead of yourself. I really do. Hey, listen, if it's 2 stinkers in a row now and you get like 4, okay, let's have that conversation. But after all the massive success and wins, this is saying that the fall of Taika Waititi, I think that's really getting ahead of yourself. I
It's
really
just,
do.
I think with Next Goal Wins, it seemed like a movie that was just like maybe even perfect for his sort of humor or whatever it was. And it's just disappointing to hear that you didn't like it. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
just
anyone else
didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Did not work. I didn't think it was very good. And it's based on a true story. And so I don't know if it came from him trying to honor some of the truer aspects of the story and didn't take enough creative liberties for that. I don't know what it is. For whatever reason, for me, I don't think it was a good movie. But I ain't gonna all of a sudden go, yeah, no. Just like as he's shining up his Oscar,
Because what we do in the shadows and Our Flag Means
it's
Death
still
is-
killing it.
Yeah.
Like Our Flag, like listen, I don't watch Our Flag
I know
Means
it's got
Death.
canceled, but still, it was.
Yeah. I didn't watch the show, but everybody I know who watched that show
I enjoyed it.
rave about it. What we do in the shadows continues to crush. I mean, yeah, I think you're getting way, way ahead of yourself. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Don J says Todd McFarlane announced at WonderCon this past weekend that half a script was written for Spawn. And they're going to try to sell it before the fall. Do you think this movie's ever happening?
You know, it's funny. I was asked this exact same question probably in 2018. No. Until Todd McFarlane gets his head, a good Canadian kid, by the way, but until Todd McFarlane gets his head out of his ass and stops thinking that he knows what's best for a movie when he's never done shit in a movie and still insists that he direct it, he's never made a short film. Nobody's going to greenlight this movie. Why would you? Now, if he ever gets to the point that he's willing to say, okay, I just want to be a producer on it, I want to have story input, let somebody else direct. You know, at that point, maybe somebody who's got the money will go, okay, I'll put my money into this. But if you had $75 million, why would you give it to Todd McFarlane, who's never directed anything, to make his own little passion project when the first one didn't do anything?
No.
I mean, who's going to put their money behind this at this point? It makes no sense. So Todd McFarlane can keep saying what he wants to say, but I don't see anything happening. All right, let's take one more question.
The Real Future Millionaire says, aiming to do 100 movies in 100 days. Wish me luck. Any great recommendations?
Just go to the AFI Top 100 list.
Oh, there
Yeah.
you go.
Not that I think the AFI Top 100 list
But you
is the
could
same
just
as
do
my
that.
100 list, but you can't go wrong with the AFI
Yeah.
Top 100 list.
Plus, then you could say watch all 100 movies on the AFI 100.
Yeah,
That's
when
true.
you're
There
done.
you go.
Yeah, if you watched all 100 movies on the AFI 100 list, you have a solid foundation.
And then from there, you could split off and do the comedies or the romance
No,
ones
no,
that
no.
they
Plus
did.
Godzilla X Kong. That's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
and
101.
and Godzilla X Kong. Yes.
101.
Yeah.
All right, guys, and that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making the show part of your day. Big special thank you to all of you guys, both our beloved channel members and those of you who use Super Chat to send in questions. Number one, because you gave us fun things to talk about, but number two, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so much for your support. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
See you guys later.
Jonathan Voico,
See ya.
writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
First Omen, baby.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.